Everything you need to know about COVID 19, Part 2. Hello friends, welcome back to Q&A, and today I am back with the second video in the COVID series. Today we will be going to look at how this disease is diagnosed, how to prevent this disease and its effect on other animals. And if you haven't watched part 1 of this series, make sure to go and watch it. I will put a link in the description. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to hit that red subscribe button as well as the bell icon nearby so that you don't miss out on any future videos. Alright, so moving on to the video, let's first look at how this disease is diagnosed. The World Health Organization has published several testing protocols for the disease. The standard method of testing is real-time reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction (RT-PCR). Now, if I go on to explain what that is, the video will become a lot more complicated. So let's avoid that and look at how this test is done. The test is typically done on a respiratory sample obtained by a nasopharyngeal swab. However, a nasal swab or sputum sample may also be used. Results are generally available within a few hours to 2 days. Blood tests can be done, but these require 2 blood samples taken 2 weeks apart, and the results have little immediate value. Chinese scientists were able to isolate a strain of the coronavirus and publish the genetic sequence, so laboratories across the world could independently develop polymerase chain reaction tests to detect infection by the virus. A study asked hospitalized COVID-19 patients to cough into a sterile container, thus producing a saliva sample, and detected the virus in 11 of 12 patients using RT-PCR. This technique has the potential of being quicker than a swab and involving less risk to healthcare workers. Along with laboratory testing, chest CT scans may be helpful to diagnose COVID-19 in individuals with high clinical suspicion of infection, but are not recommended for routine screening. Now that we have looked at how this disease is diagnosed, let's move on to the prevention methods for this disease. Preventive measures to reduce the chances of infection include staying at home, avoiding crowded places, keeping distance from others, washing hands with soap and water often and for at least 20 seconds, practicing good respiratory hygiene, and avoid touching the eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) recommends covering the mouth and nose with a tissue when coughing or sneezing, and recommends using the inside of the elbow if no tissue is available. Proper hand hygiene after any cough or sneeze is encouraged. The CDC has recommended cloth face coverings in public setting where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain, in part to limit transmission by asymptomatic individuals. The US National Institutes of Health guidelines do not recommend any medication or prevention of COVID-19 before or after exposure to the SARS-CoV-2 virus outside the setting of a clinical trial. Social distancing strategies aim to reduce contact of infected persons with large groups by closing schools and workplaces, restricting travel, and cancelling large public gatherings. Distancing guidelines also include that people stay at least 6 feet (1.8 meter) apart. There is no medication known to be effective at preventing COVID-19. After the implementation of social distancing and stay-at-home orders, many regions have been able to sustain an effective transmission rate of less than 1, meaning the disease is in remission in those areas. As a COVID-19 vaccine is not expected until 2021 at the earliest, a key part of managing COVID-19 is trying to decrease and delay the epidemic peak, known as flattening the curve. This is done by slowing the infection rate to decrease the risk of health services being overwhelmed, allowing for better treatment of current cases and delaying additional cases until effective treatments or a vaccine becomes available. Several countries have recommended that healthy individuals wear face masks or cloth face coverings, at least in certain public settings, including China, Hong Kong, Spain, Italy, Russia, and the United States. This recommendation is meant to reduce the spread of the disease by asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic individuals and is complementary measure to established preventive measures such as social distancing. Face coverings minimize the excretion of respiratory droplets by infected individuals while breathing, talking, and coughing. Non-medical cloth face coverings, such as a scarf, are recommended for the general public in places where social distancing is difficult to maintain. Medical grade face masks, such as N95 masks, should be reserved and prioritized for healthcare workers and first responders. Those diagnosed with COVID-19 or who believe they may be infected are advised by the CDC to stay home, expect to get medical care, and call ahead before visiting a healthcare provider. Wear a face mask before entering the healthcare provider's office, and when in any room or vehicle with another person, cover coughs and sneezes with a tissue. Regularly wash hands with soap and water, and avoid sharing personal household items. The CDC also recommends that individuals wash hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after going to the toilet or when hands are visibly dirty, before eating and after blowing one's nose, coughing, or sneezing. It further recommends using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol, but only when soap and water are not readily available. For areas where commercial hand sanitizers are not readily available, the WHO provides two formulations for local production. In these formulations, the antimicrobial activity arises from ethanol or isopropanol. Hydrogen peroxide is used to help eliminate bacterial spores in the alcohol, and glycerol is added as a humectant. However, it is not an active substance for hand antisepsis. Now, let's move on to the last topic of this video, and that is about the effect of this disease on other animals. Humans appear to be capable of spreading the virus to some other animals. A domestic cat in Liege, Belgium tested positive after it started showing symptoms, diarrhea, vomiting, shortness of breath, a week later than its owner, who was also positive. Tigers and lions at the Bronx Zoo in New York, United States tested positive for the virus and showed symptoms of COVID-19, including a dry cough and loss of appetite. Minks at two farms in the Netherlands also tested positive for COVID-19. A study on domesticated animals inoculated with the virus found that cats and ferrets appear to be highly susceptible to the disease, while dogs appear to be less susceptible, with lower levels of viral replication. The study failed to find evidence of viral replication in pigs, ducks, and chickens. In March 2020, researchers from the University of Hong Kong have shown that Syrian hamsters could be a model organism for COVID-19 research. That's gonna conclude it for our video, guys. And in the third part of everything you need to know about COVID-19, we will be going to discuss the management of COVID-19, its prognosis, and the effect of society and culture on this disease. And as always, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Until the next video, goodbye.